Okay, the beauty in this practice today, actually, it is to cover, yes, the isolation levels, and we'll understand in a practical perspective what does mean isolation level and transaction to be isolated and things like that. True, but in addition to that, we are going to see the security in measurement. Actually, we are going to see the security in between our hands. We are controlling the transactions effectively and with an efficiency, with a high efficiency even. So the isolation levels, they are five mainly introduced to us in our book. We are going to manipulate all of them, yeah. But the main concern here is that you have to understand when to use this or that. What we are actually required to do in this today, in this practice today, so to reach the manipulation of those transactions, actually, we will stand on the database we created last class. First of all, we'll generate a deprived from isolation transaction, a transaction without isolation. Then after we will generate a similar transaction, but with also without the second one also is without isolation. Then after we'll generate the one with isolation, and we have to identify what is the isolation required here. We'll proceed. Then after that, we'll proceed. SSMS. Great. My user as an admin. Great. Ami. Okay, I'm gonna use the database he required us to follow, which is this one, says procurement. So let's get started. So use says procurement. So done. Here it is. Here it is mentioned here. So we are perfectly set. Now, first transaction, actually, first activity to do is to create a transaction that it has the name quick updates transaction without isolation to do the following two tasks: update and update. Update the first one actually for the items, the second for the invoices. Items to be updated to change the name of the item, spare part 2, where the ID is greater than or equal to 100. And the second query is to update the invoices, to set the date, today is 14 4 2021, uh, where the quantity actually is less than to 10 pieces. We'll see actually. Let's proceed. So generating or creating a process, let's say a transaction first of all. So let's create the transaction without any isolation level. So immediately I said that I'm going to use this database. So here the tables we have inside the database are our question. We need to make the updates on these items and this invoice, both of them, according to the question. No, so begin. Let's say it run. Give it the name quick updates. What was the name? Quick updates run. Yeah, quick updates run. So, okay, here immediately we set the scope to whatever we want. The specifically, I'm gonna just make update. Sorry, update. I'm gonna say items first of all. Here it is. Set what? So update the items. Change the name to of the items to spare part 2. Spare part 2, where ID is greater than 100. Okay. The name, he said. The fields here in these items, we have item name. The field name is item name. So I'm going to say set. I'm spelling item. We have two e's here. It's a spelling mistake. Name equal set part 2, single quotation, where We have item ID as an ID, item ID greater than or equal to 100. Full stop. So this is the query. If again, he said that the ID has to be greater than 100. We have item ID, so item ID greater than 100. Less, there is no less actually. The second update for the invoices is not shown because I have to specify schema sales dot invoices. Good, but but set the date, today's date, where the quantity is less than 10. We have no quantity and we have no date. We have no quantity and we have no date. So for this task only and for this purpose only, I'm going to update the country. I'm going to update the country where the ID is greater than 100, whatever, or greater than 10, less than 10, as he said. So set made country, made country equal, let's say, common, where again item ID less than or equal to 10. We did it. Okay. Here items, it is from the sales department. This is schema. Wait, so here made country, it is not shown. In bullet point made country. It is here. Made country. Invoices, actually we don't have made country. I made a mistake. So I'm reading the column from the items table, which is not. We need the invoices table. So columns here. Here it is actually the date, modified date. So modified date equals today's date, which is 14/4/21 or 2021, where invoice ID, there is no invoice ID with quantity because we need the quantity to be the question set. So we have the, I was reading from another table the fields. So that's great. So no, great. Okay, I finished. I have finished. So I can actually do this thing. I can do actually before I do anything. Let me check the contents of the items. What are they? The contents of the invoice. What are they? So I'm gonna pass different. Select from items. Okay. Five invalid items because I have to specify the schema. Wait. See what we have. 1, 3, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. We have all of those data. Great. Also from the invoices. Invoices. Those are the contents of the invoices. All the dates they are 47474747 and so on. So we are going to update the name, the item name from here when the ID is greater than 100, which is not the case. We do not have any ID here greater than 100. All of them, the maximum is 4. So there will be no updates. And here for this invoice, we'll update the modified date. Yes, the modified date here, where the quantity is less than 10. Quantity is less than 10. Okay, this one we modify. All of those that they will be modified. All of them because inclusive 10 equal. Let's execute this transaction now. Execute. 0 row affected. We have an issue conversion from varchar data quantity data type to this to date time. Date type results in and out of range value. Okay, here modified date. Yes, because of the issue we had. So let me, no, here, let me open the design. Modify date time. I'm gonna change it to varchar. It is a matter of syntax only. There is no issue at all, but it is a matter of syntax only. You have to respect the syntax. That's all. We will see. Just a few seconds to reply. Yeah, actually, errors encountered the same process. Some database objects were not saved in voice, and the execution in timeout expires the timeout period, the last period completion operation. Okay, let me say okay. Concealed. I'm gonna, because seems to be it is prevented from being saved, so I'm gonna readjust. If you receive the same message, I'm gonna try to check if the saving is allowed or not. Prevention. It's not allowed. It's not prevented, so it's not prevented here. Let me try again. Otherwise, I have to empty the table. Same message. Okay, whatever. Regardless, I'm gonna cancel. I'm gonna cancel. No, I'm gonna try to respect the same date time syntax. Copy. Here it is 4, and here I'm gonna say the date. Here is 4, and here it's the 14th today. Wait. So let me try to execute again. 7 row affected. Great. 7 row affected, and here 0 row affected. In what? Here in this one nothing has happened, but here 7 row affected. Let's check again for the items. Let me execute the same. Actually, nothing has been happened. We did not update any name with this per part 2. Nothing. None. None. And here for this one, for the invoices, 14.4, 14.4, 14.4, 14.4, all of them, all of them. I'm gonna change. See what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna change. For example, the date to be. I'm gonna set the time to be now. To be, for example, now exact time 14:25. If the quantity is less than strict 10, not less than or equal. I'm gonna update again. Not update, but generate, execute the transaction again. Now it's 6 transactions, only 6 affected. Let's check the items without alteration, and let's check the invoices. Okay, the first one is 14. The rest 14.00. The rest they are 14, 14.25, 14.25, 14.25. Working very fine. So perfectly we set it. Perfectly we set it. We created the transaction. This is not, actually a problem. See, at the beginning, I'm gonna just make another transaction. Actually, I'm gonna update the date also, another update to set it like this, for example, without respecting the syntax of the date and time, where the quantity is less than 1, less than or equal to 1. Okay, so let it be, say, let's say actually greater than or equal to 10. Here less than strict, here greater than or equal. Okay, for a purpose, actually, for a purpose. If we're having the date with this syntax. Why I'm doing this? Why? Because in the example we have a solution actually. It is using the try block and the catch block. It is taken in consideration the runtime errors. So this is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to highlight again. So the transaction I have, it has 3 statements. This one I added now to make you understand why we would use the runtime errors handler. Let's say I'm going to execute one row affected. It said one row affected. It said here actually it has been executed. Means it has considered this date, this format. I'm going to say whatever. Actually, it has been executed. The thing actually when I execute, yes, this is the one because for the greater than or equal to 10. Whatever. I'm gonna actually insert the try block actually here for just to manipulate the try block, no more no less, and we are going to use the let's say here the catch block also for the exception handler, for the purpose of the exception handler, no more no less. So first of all, I'm gonna specify the try block actually. So begin try. Why I'm doing it here? Because the try is to try to execute the content of the transaction. I do not have to start it outside. And immediately I'm going to start the catch block. Here I'm going to say, and sorry, I'm going to just let me end the catch first. Okay, in between here, we cancel, we roll back the transaction actually. We are going to roll back the transaction. It means we are going to cancel it. So the transaction we specified here, it does not have a name. No, it has. It is this one. So I'm gonna do one. First of all, roll back, run name here. Okay, and then after we may make actually a display of a message. Transaction is rolled back. Exclamation mark. Okay. Single quotation. One single quotation. Okay, transaction is rolled back. Yeah. So this way actually we will be able to verify that the catch block had been executed, and here let me do any exception handle process. Let's say 5 divided by 0, print succeeded. Transaction. Okay, single quotation. Good. Here just to raise up runtime error. I'm adding this one from my side only to raise up a runtime error, no more, no less. So let me execute. Zero affected, 6 are affected, 1 affected. Transaction is rolled back. Transaction is rolled back. What is this? This is the message. Transaction is rolled back. From which block? From the catch block. Means the try block has raised up an issue. But when the issue was after the updates. Why? Because we had already the 3 affected messages. Means that those 3 updates, they have been happening. Let me move this print to here at the beginning, and let's execute this transaction again. Transaction is rolled back. Nothing, no updates at all. Why? Because immediately at the beginning this issue has been raised up. Immediately the catch block has been executed at the time. Great. So this way we're able to generate a transaction without an isolation level, and it is to let's say do whatever we wish to do. So okay, let's continue, and we'll immediately actually I'm gonna pass because it is similar. So you will do it from your side. A second transaction to do those tasks. Me for explanation purposes only, I'm gonna pass to generate the same transaction, but with adoption of the isolation level. Here, if you can see, the isolation level required here is to avoid the dirty red problems, to avoid the dirty red problems. And this specific dirty red here, which is to allow transaction to read the data which is being updated by other transactions and not yet committed. This is the dirty red. To read the data which is updated and not yet committed. The data which is being updated and not yet committed. This is a problem. Prove that actually, in which problem you can see that being modified, red committed, actually red uncommitted here. It is the red uncommitted. This is an isolation level. So we are going to isolate this problem here, the problematic scenario, which is to read the updates before being committed. It would be actually solved by setting the isolation level to red uncommitted. Allow transactions to read data which is being updated but by other transactions and not yet committed. This is the message. This is the message. So this is the isolation level we need. How to do so? Actually, if you can see, before of that, we just set this isolation level to be whatever we want. So here I'm gonna just leave the same transaction like it is. I'm gonna copy the same transaction for explanation purposes only, and I'm gonna open a new let's say I'm gonna open a new query builder. Okay, before I paste this one, actually I'm gonna set the transaction isolation level. Here, actually, I would use the isolation level, or I would use the level here. I'm gonna say red and committed. Easy. So done. So I'm gonna execute this thing here. Execute it, completed successfully. And the run now, I'm gonna execute it. Okay, rolled back. So the same message. We have no nuts. We did not have any hint to see modifications. Actually, even if I select both of them here, and I would execute, completed successfully without any hint. Why? Because remember, we are doing the thing with small data, and our database engine is in the same computer, so we will not see the differences in time. Visually, for us as humans, we will not see the differences in time. Before continuing, just to bring you a clear, and this is for this reason only, I use a different page. So I would actually use the serializable I explained to you in the serializable transaction mode, and you're going to see how the effect of the let's say isolation level can be seen. So what I'm going to do here is to set the transaction to run for a period of time. So here, actually, before passing to here, I'm gonna make a delay. Wait for. I'm gonna say wait for delay. I'm gonna say here in between quotations, I'm gonna say 10 seconds. So something like that. So here, in here, I'm passing a statement that would force the processor to wait for a certain period of time. That's me. Let me execute again. See, let me execute. Let me say serializable. Let me highlight the query again. Sorry, the transaction again. Let me execute. Transaction rolled back because did not reach this level. Because of this print. I'm gonna move this runtime error here to the and. Yes, let it be here. Let me Set serializable again. It is set already, but even though highlight. Okay, let me execute now. See here, it is being loading, loading, loading. It will remain 10 seconds. It will keep loading, loading for 10 seconds. Just will wait. Yes, finished. 10 seconds, and then after it will tell you what happened. Okay, what's the problem? There is no problem here. This is actually a serializable process that it will take a time to finish. Saying that there is no problem here, actually, we have enough time. But the point is that the impact and the effect of the serializable isolation level is that I'm gonna open another query builder here. I'm gonna just pass a simple insert query. So I'm gonna try to here. Actually, if I select the star from sales items, okay, I'm gonna see what is there. Fine. Here is the content. So I'm gonna insert a number 9. I'm gonna insert a number 9 element to this entity. Okay, insert into sales dot items. Okay, I'm gonna say values. First thing actually is 9, the ID. Then item name, I'm gonna between single quotations, I'm gonna say spare parts. Then country, let's say USA. Sorry, USA. Let's say USA. Okay, great. So close. I'm gonna close the parts. I'm gonna execute. One row affected. Let me select again. Here is the number 9. Here's the number 9. Great. So I'm gonna insert number 10, but not now. Not now. I'm gonna launch this let's say this transaction. Okay. I'm gonna make this transaction wait for, let's say, whatever. Let's be like that. So we will wait after updating the items table 10 seconds, and after updating these invoices 10 seconds, and then after we update the last one, and we finish. This is the transaction what would happen. Why? Just to gain time, to make you understand the effect of this serializable. The serializable, as per the definition I explained to you, it blocks the entities treated in this transaction, which are mentioned here. In this case, the items and the invoices. Invoices 2 times is the invoices only. So invoices and items, those two entities, it blocks them from being altered completely until the transaction is being finished. Serializable. So to avoid phantom red problems, the phantom red actually to give you duplicated value while it is being executed. So no, to read, to let's say to admit, to let you read or modify the data while it is being executed actually. So interferences will be isolated. Serializable level. Let's try. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna launch this transaction, and immediately I'm gonna move to this here, to where here, try to insert a number 10. Now we have only 9. I'm gonna insert number 10. Let's say past it has a problem. I'm gonna say whatever here. I'm gonna say lubricants for cars. Or let's say machine lubricants. Okay. Any other new value. So I will not execute now. I'm gonna launch this serializable transaction, because now it will need 20 seconds to finish. Immediately I'm gonna execute. Started. I'll try to launch the execution here, the insert. No, it will not insert. It will not insert. It will wait. It has to finish this one first. Then after it will finish this one. It will not finish. And let's finish this one. Yes, this one finished. Also, this one finished. So this is the isolation level, and this is the impact of the serializable. This is the impact of the serializable. So here, because of the serializable, we are not able to make any new insert. Now, if I select, we will find this one set. This is the number 10. This is the number 10. Very easy. This is the number 10. So this way, actually, this way, we are able to understand what does mean serial, let's say, isolation level. It is an issue avoidance. It's a matter. It's a way how to avoid the dirty rats and problems in executing and reading contents from entities in backdoor or in the data store. In addition to, it is just mainly it is to avoid those issues that clearly specified under the phantom red or the red uncommitted. Technically, actually, the serializer, the isolation levels, they are five, and one of them would solve. In our case, actually, I'm just thinking why, because we were not required to make this comparison for now, actually. But even though, at least we knew what does this serializable do and what does the isolation level do. Because if I did not do, I did not set the time, will not be able to note. Remember, we have an only small amount of data, and it will not take time for us as a humans to compare. For us humans, immediately we'll just click and we'll get the result immediately. So it will not have any effect. What does mean? Means if I delete this, see, I'm going to delete this thing here. This time wait full. This time wait full. I delete, and I'm going to try to, if I insert number 10 again, I'm going to insert number 11. Leave the same data. I'm going to insert. It will execute. Select. I will find it. Yes, here it is. Now I'm going to try to execute, insert the number 12. But before of that, I'm going to launch. I'm going to launch this transaction, this serializable, without time wait. Without time wait. Execute has been finished. Immediately I pass here to execute this insert. Execute has been finished immediately, because we not feel the difference. Why? Because the thing is very short and the computer is fast enough to execute them quickly. If I select, I will find them. The 12, I will find it. Here it is. The 12 is here. So effectively, we will not see any visual differences, because of the speed of the computer, no more no less, and the small amount of data we have to treat. Let me come back to the guide. Yeah, so here, yeah, okay, so I'll leave you to do this task number 2, actually, by setting up the five, sorry, isolation levels. I'm going to give you the recorder right now. I'm going to stop at this level, and I will follow you one by one on your screens. Now I'll do the thing in your screen.